Good evening and welcome to episode 108. As always, let's start with our gratitude attitude. So, if you would please gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, relax your body. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, let all your stress melt away. Take one more deep breath. This time, completely let yourself go. Now, think of one thing that you're thankful for that happened in the past week. Once you identified that, think about why you are thankful. Now let's set it free. If you're by yourself, say it out loud what you're thankful for and why. If you're with someone, tell it to each other. All right. So we talked about a lot in the past that within every one of our hearts exists this potential for total freedom from ignorance, potential for complete bliss and peacefulness, pure happiness, if you will, also known as our Buddha nature. So today, I want to get into how we access that peacefulness within us. And we talked about this on and off over the last, you know, number of episodes from the beginning, quite frankly. We need to learn to experience that peacefulness within us. And reason we are not able to experience every day is that we've been habitually caught up with our delusions, right? Greed, anger, attachment. And when that shows up, we think that's me. Like we say, I'm angry, right? We don't say my anger is boiling up. We say, I am angry. That's not us. That's our delusion. That's anger. That's not us. We need to realize that. They are defilements of our mind, our tendencies, our habits. But that is not us. They may be ruining our life, but it's still not us. Buddha gave this example of seawater. So we can all say seawater is salty, right? It's salty water. He says, nope. He says water. Water is water. It's the salt that makes it salty. And that's kind of true in a sense that, we've seen this desalination projects, right? In San Diego, in Saudi Arabia and whatnot, where they take the seawater, processes, and water is no longer salty. So the water itself is water. It's the salt which makes it salty. In the same way, it's possible to get rid of our delusions from our mind and access that clear, blissful mind. It's already there. It's just that our delusions are making it salty. That doesn't mean our mind is salty. By nature, we are pure. Our nature is completely peaceful, joyful, and even actually blissful. We all have what Buddha calls our continuously residing mind, which is the deepest level of awareness, our Atma, we call it, soul, right? It's completely true. It's always there. All other minds come and go. So our continuously residing mind is like a clear sky. And our delusion, our anger, our attachment, our hatred, they're like clouds that temporarily show up in a sky. And that's what we need to remember all the time. That deep down, we are a peaceful person. We are a joyful person. We are a blissful person. And I think we talked about this before. We have this golden nugget, right? At our heart. It's like a piece of gold. If you ever went gold panning, it looks like a dirt. So this dirt on the gold nugget is what we have. It's a nugget. It's not some dirty rock. It's actually gold. So therefore, the first step of accessing our pure nature is meditation. So that our mind can settle down to its pure nature. We are letting the waves die down by focusing on the breath. Right? We are allowing the waves of delusion just calm down. And that's all we do to start with. We just don't follow our delusions. The way we don't follow is by following our breath instead. So if we focus strictly on the breath, we talked about focus on your breath at your nostrils, right? Because our mind can only do one thing at a time. We like to think we can multitask, but there's no such thing. All it does is your mind is moving so fast from one task to another, so it feels like multitasking. But at a given moment, it can only do one task. So mind is trying from one task to another, getting exhausted. Our mind is very much in the nature of the movement, right? It just keeps moving. And let's go back to that ocean analogy we were talking about, waves, right? It's causing all the disruptions. If you look at the surface of the ocean, there are waves on the surface. As you go deep, it's calm, right? That water is not wavy, it's still. But we can make a lot of things at once. We think like that, but we cannot. So when we focus on our breath, then we are focused single pointedly on our breath, strictly, nothing else. We don't follow our thoughts, not projecting any delusions, anger, attachment on our thoughts. And when we stop thinking about our thoughts, the thoughts stop. They go away, just like the clouds go away in a sky and it becomes clear. Our delusions are just like thoughts. When we stop thinking, they subside. And then we discover that we are actually peaceful, that our mind is actually peaceful, relatively speaking, to begin with, right? But we get a little bit of that taste of peacefulness. And we see this clear sky, if you will. And with meditation, we are learning to master our mind, right? Control our mind, which is absolutely essential. Because if we don't master our mind is going to control us. It's a monkey mind. And when I say our mind is going to control us, I'm talking about our delusions, our anger, our attachment, our hatred, our jealousy, and so forth. And that's what's running our show right now. So if we want to experience peace and happiness, we need to learn to master our minds. And the first step in that is making a decision to stay with the breath. Because a decision has a lot to do with what we end up doing. We usually do what we decide to do, right? If we don't decide to do it, then of course, it's a breathing meditation, but I'm thinking of something else, right? So it just seems like something quite peaceful if we decide to stay with our breath. And if we decide not to follow our thoughts, then we won't follow our thoughts because usually we do what we decide to do. And a thought comes up, which it will. We say, you know what, I'm not going to follow it. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to focus on my breath. We do that for a while, and the mind starts to settle down. Just for a little bit, small amount of time. Our delusions die down. And we start to experience that peace within. We get a glimpse of it, if you will. And that glimpse is enough for us then change object of our meditation from the breath to the peace itself, right? So that's when you go to breath, then we go to our heart and focus on that peace. And then we enjoy that peace. And you know what? I'm going to enjoy this peace. I'm going to abide by this peace. When our delusions are not manifesting strongly, our mind is naturally relaxed, naturally happy. So in today's meditation, as always, we'll settle down in our hearts. And then we're going to try to imagine that our mind is this vast, bright, sunny corner of sky. And thoughts are like our thunderstorms that show up every summer afternoon. And we'll observe the thoughts, acknowledge it, but we won't chase it, and focus on this empty sky. And if we just observe, we'll notice that they'll disappear. And then we'll observe the empty like nature of space. That's it. So that's the idea. If you're ready, let's begin. Please get into your meditation posture. Cross-legged position. If you are in a chair, simply touch your feet on the ground. Make sure your back is straight. Spine upright. Shoulders leveled. Gently close your eyes. Keep your mouth just a little bit open. So any stress you may have in your jaws will dissipate. Palms in your lap, right over left. Thumbs gently touching each other. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, see all your stress drip away from your muscles. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, let your body completely loose like a rag doll. Bring your attention to the sensation of your breath at your nostrils. Feel the cool air as you breathe in. Feel slightly warmer air as you breathe out. Keep your attention on your breath for about a minute or so on your own. Now, bring your attention at your heart. Experience the peacefulness of your root mind at your heart. Let this peaceful moment bring the next peaceful moment. Remember, there is nothing to do. Nowhere to go. Just enjoy. Now, imagine your mind is this vast, blue, sunny Colorado sky. Not a cloud to be found. And your thoughts, like the clouds, they come and they go. If a thought arises, simply acknowledge it. Don't chase it. I'll disappear. If you find yourself chasing your thoughts, simply come back and focus on that vast, empty sky-like mind of yours. If a thought arises, simply acknowledge it, don't chase it, and it will go away. Keep your focus on the bright sunny sky like your mind. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. Any questions? Hey, Sarpan, how are you?
Good, Neeraj. All good. Coming back after a long time.
It's been a while. Your photo looks studious.
Oh, I need to change it. Sorry. Yeah, no worries. No, no. I think I think the peacefulness of the mind. I'm just want to confess I'm regressing, so I'm gonna come back to come back to this more often.
Absolutely. You know, it's I had this discussion with my teacher a long time ago. I feel like I'm 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Exactly. Yeah.
And she says, as long as it's 2 forward and 1 back, it's okay.
And more often than not, the
Yeah.
peace of mind is always disturbed by third party. Like it's
Yep.
not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, that's funny you said that, Premal, because, you know, it'd be easy. You would think that, hey, if you just lock yourself in the room, you'll be peaceful all the time. Right? But that's not the case.
Yeah, and by third party, I even mean like not your immediate people around you, right? I mean something like your work colleagues. You can still take care of immediate family. You care a little bit more about them, but then you know sometimes like a car cutting you is enough to disturb your peace of mind. And
Mm-hmm.
Funny you said that. That's the same example I give over and over. I teach in person on Saturdays most days nowadays, and you know that one example shows up all the time. That hey, you know, someone cuts you off, and they probably didn't even mean to,
yeah,
and then we get all upset.
Yeah. And Neeraj, this thing regress a lot. Like you get yourself into a good state, mental state after a lot of meditation,
Yeah.
and then you lose it, and then you go back to your default state, which is, when somebody cuts you off, you get mad.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
it's just like
Yeah.
Just
it's
like that.
yeah, it's a constant practice. You have to do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, just
So,
that's what I'm learning.
so one thing, I think we talked about this before, Sapan. One thing, like when you're in meditation, right? It's like
Mhm.
so peaceful, right?
Yep.
But then you lose during the day. So, if we have some kind of reminder to be mindful, right? And we
Mhm.
talked about, taking 5 deep breaths every hour or something.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm guilty of not doing it myself. So,
Yeah, no, I have to put a reminder, because
Yeah.
you're right. And to Premal, your point, I think that third party thing with the work, it's definitely something I
Work
struggle with.
is a big. I think for most of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Work is like probably the biggest contributor.
So,
No
so
doubt about that.
let me ask you this: in work, does it happen usually in a meeting, a phone call? What happens during that time, or just out of the blue,
Yeah, it's usually meetings, right? I mean,
right? So
you may
before you
get
go
into a
into a meeting,
contentious meeting. Or,
before you go into a meeting, right? How about just take few deep breaths, right?
Mm.
And then visualize the person who you think going to be contentious, right? And then
Yeah.
just keep their face in your head while you're taking these deep breaths and doing quick 30-second, 60-second meditation.
Yeah.
I think that will help.
Yeah. No, I think it will. I've tried it a couple times, like, in between meetings, because a lot of times I observed is your mood from one meeting carries over into another. And you
Another.
end up,
Oh,
yeah,
Premal, that is such a problem across our industry,
yeah,
that in not having that 1 minute of break, you go from
yeah,
at the that 30 minutes or 1 hour, you go to a next meeting, and you
yeah,
bring that thoughts with you. You're already
yeah,
agitated, and then you
yeah,
are bringing that negative energy to the. Now, if you're leading if I'm leading a meeting, and if I'm an agitator, say I'm in a position of power where people look
Mhm.
up to us, and when we are agitated, we transpire that energy to everybody else. And I'm learning it hard way, man. It's just I
yeah,
have to do
yeah,
this
yeah.
one
So I'm going
by.
to try this a little more regularly to take
Yeah.
deep breaths between meetings. One thing that has helped me is going to office. Honestly, like all our rooms are like full glass pane, and
Hmm.
believe it or not, when you are standing on the other side of the glass, you do become mindful of how you're behaving. Then
Yeah.
people
Yep.
walking by can see you.
Yep. I agree with you. I think we are meaner on Zoom calls and chats.
Yeah,
Our
Absolutely.
Slack
yeah,
messages are worse.
yeah,
So. Yep.
And imagine, if there are 20 people in that meeting, and 5 or 6 of them came from different meetings bringing that negative energy,
yeah.
that
That's
meeting's
it.
done for,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it happens.
right? I mean, nothing productive is going to come out of that meeting.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Agreed. Yeah, I think whenever I have a brainstorming session, I'm just like, can you guys, if you're agitated, let's not do it. I need to put that as a reminder in my meeting invite. No agitated mind allowed.
so do first thing in the morning, right? Before they get
Mm.
agitated.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
So we used to do brainstorming out of the office. That was my rule.
I
We
see.
always went to Marriott DTC, right? 3 or 4 of us, and we'll do a brainstorming session once every 3 months or something, all day away from the office. That way, absolutely fresh start for that day.
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So
Anyways, I guess
And
thank you, Niro. Bye. We're
thank
gonna
you.
get back to this one.
Aditi, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, mine is little bit opposite, not only meetings, but I do take unnecessary pressure on me. Most of the time, I don't think it's necessary, but it's like my nature where I want to perform at the best. I don't want to make any mistakes. And I am actually learning and I'm little new to workforce. So that adds on. So no matter how many times I tried, like 1 minute every hour try to just, say some good stuff about yourself that you can do this and all. But sometimes I don't make that 1 minute, and then I constantly feel this pressure.
So I'm sure you heard of this, don't let perfect in the way of progress, right? Because, if we always want to be perfect, then progress doesn't happen,
Right.
right? So that's one thing I think. Have you heard of this thing that a gap state of mind?
No,
Uh,
I'm not aware.
Okay, so the gap state of mind is, you are here, but you want to be somewhere else, right? You want to be miles from here. So you're
Mhm.
putting pressure on yourself because you're a mile behind where you want to be.
Mhm.
But if you look back, you're already a mile ahead of where you started,
Right.
right?
Definitely. Wow.
So we all
Mhm.
live in this gap where we want to be rather than thinking about what we already, come so far.
Mhm.
Right. So if you remind yourself of that helps a lot with this perfection thing, because I've been through, I'm telling you, it's not fun.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, this is actually really nice the way you. But sometimes I'm afraid that if I'm too content, will I stop making progress?
No, because progress keeps happening. Contentment, all contentment means is that you're happy and you're not putting pressure on yourself, right? Doesn't mean you don't do what you're supposed to do, right?
Right.
But don't live in the gap is what contentment means. You still walk, right? You're still walking forward, you're still moving forward, right? But you're not worried about, hey, I'm a mile behind. You're saying, okay, I'm already a mile further. You keep going, right? You don't stop because you're content, right?
Mm.
Contentment is a state of mind where you say, you know what, I'm happy where I'm in life, right? Wherever that may be, right? Rather
Mhm.
than chasing. Contentment means you stop chasing,
Mhm.
because chasing is no fun, right? That's what chasing is, what creates all these negative states of mind,
Mhm.
right? I mean, why do we chase? We chase because we feel unfulfilled deep down, right? We think this is
Mhm.
the one last thing. In fact, I saw a very interesting article recently where they say that, people who retire and for first 6 months a year, they're so happy, they're traveling, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
And then they're miserable because they want that one last deal, the one last whatever, right? One more time I can do this, or one more time I can do this, because not fulfilled. So if you're content within yourself, then you're not chasing. And when you're not chasing, the delusion don't show up.
Mm. Interesting.
Yeah, try it. It's
Mm.
it at least works for me. So
No, no, I definitely want to feel like little bit more relaxed and
exactly.
relieved. It's like I know it's my nature. Nobody else, everybody is saying me, don't be hard on yourself,
So it's
But
always us, right? We have to work on
yeah,
ourselves. That's the whole process, right?
yes, it's a
Nobody is
journey.
making us do anything,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And this is progress. I mean, what you're doing, right, is making progress towards that, right?
Yep.
I mean, how
Yep.
long have you been coming here?
Oh, at least 5, 6 months now, I
Five,
see.
6 months, right? At least,
Yeah.
actually more than that. I think we talked back in November, December. I remember you were here,
Right,
right?
right. At
So,
someone's wedding, yeah.
so do you see any progress? Again, not perfection, progress.
No, definitely. Actually, today's session was like so beautiful when you started with this bliss and happiness. And I think that was what I needed today. And it was so beautiful. Yeah, definitely. I feel
As long
better
as
than.
you yourself see progress in yourself, that's all that
Mm.
matters, right? Nothing else matters,
Right, right.
right? It's not
Mm.
about what other people think. It's as long as you see that, okay, you know what, I'm peaceful, more peaceful than I was before. And like Sapan said, we are going to regress. We will go back. Regression is part of this process, but
Mhm.
don't give up if that happens, right?
Yeah, that's when we try harder, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's okay to take a break, right?
Mhm.
It's okay not to meditate for a couple of days. If you feel like, hey, I just want to take a break, that's okay, right?
Mhm.
So
Mm. No, thank you so much.
you're welcome. I'm going to stop
Uh,
recording.
okay.